Welcome to War Gamer. I'm your host, Rob. We're live here at the unfortunate London GT. I am joined today. We are your hosts for a weekend of competitive Age of Sigmar. I'm very excited to be here. And I'm joined by, who are you? Who the heck are you?
So I'm James Powell. Most people seem to remember me as some idiot with the Bretonians and a horn from Bobo. And that's about it. I've got a dodgy Birmingham accent, so I apologise in advance.
Don't apologise. Also, very excited to have James here. You guys should have a great weekend. He's a barrel of laughs. We're going to have a barrel of laughs. We've got some really exciting games. We've got the famous Mr. Laurie Huggett Wiggett, fresh off his Asbo from punching a dog, live against Mr. Benjamin Sava.
I would say that Ben Sava is not flamboyantly dressed today, and I'm disappointed.
Yeah, he is. It's quite disappointing. But if we didn't need to make it even more star-studded, we have an infield reporter. Normally it's Mr. Adam Chuckleberry, but today it's been replaced by Mr. Donal Taylor, the grot terrorist himself, who once caused an entire edition of Warhammer to have to be rewritten. Donal, over to you.
Hey Rob, and everyone watching the Honest Wargamer, thanks for joining us at the LGT. I am here today doing the roving reporter coverage because Chuckle Buddy is sick or dead, or not welcome, one or the other. Today you can find me on the Honest Wargamer Twitter and the Instagram. If you have any questions, just reach out there. I can track some games. It's all up on tabletop.to under search London GT. You'll be able to find it. You can also find the double results where I won it, and I think I'm currently the reigning AOS champion in this venue, as well as Darren. But really, he was last year, and I'm this year's hotness. Ben Sava wanted me to play, and then he found out I won the doubles, then decided not to. So now I'm here in the roving coverage. Pretty sure he went and made Chuckle Buddy sick. I really don't know if that's true or not, but these are the rumors that we have. Up we have Ben and Laurie on stream, so I don't get to mock Laurie too much. Hopefully Laurie loses, and then he'll have a couple of easy matchups, and then I control him. If he wins, then he's going to have some tough matchups, and then Laurie's no fun when he wins. We also have Jack playing. He's copied Ben Sava's list, but added Plague Monks. But if Jack wins it, then it becomes a Jack TM build. So you heard it here first. Jack TM, 9 Stormfiends, nothing to do with Ben Sava running it for a while. We have about 15 change hosts, or 9. I kind of get really bored, so I'm really glad they're back. But yeah, I mean, Gun Summoners. Darren, can't wait to interview Darren. Darren has a unique list because Darren's list diaries. He's definitely bringing something, so we're going to interview him later after he loses to Jimbo. Then we have Mark Mitzman with the best Gits you've probably ever seen. He's playing against someone who used to play Gits, and he's playing something called Slanesh. So we think the Gits win that. And then there's a few others. We'll keep you updated over the next couple of games, and I'll try to come back as often as possible because I imagine you're all bored with Rob, and he can't drink too much caffeine because he might die.
Alan, thank you. Oh, God. I don't know if I'm going to make it through the weekend. If I do, London's probably got some good hospitals, so I don't mind that at all. The grot terrorist himself. We also have got Mr. Darren Watson, last year's reigning champion of the LGT, playing on a table to the side of us. But he actually is. All of his games are being recorded, which are going to go later up on YouTube. So that's going to be an exciting time. He's playing against the famous Jimbo of the Mitzi and Jimbo show. So they're going to be having a good time of Warhammer. We're already in the off. We're in the off.
We are indeed.
We are in the off. Are you excited about this matchup?
Yeah, I think so. I think, interestingly, so having a chat with Sava this morning, he lost to this list the other day.
Oh, okay.
At the Books Wargaming event, I believe. And I think there might be some tweaks to his list since.
Yes, there absolutely is. So a little interesting, cool thing, if you guys are interested, if you're watching live on Twitch, if you're watching on Facebook, jump over onto Twitch. If you look in your overlay, there's a little thing that says BIP.
Yep.
So if you press that on your little overlay, better information, it will tell you the lists. Which is cool. So
yeah.
It's easy. So you can watch and look at lists at the same time. Another little innovation. Not saying that we're changing the game, but just like to, there you go, just a little nice little matchup that we do there. So as you can see in Ben's list, they're deploying now. We'll get to what's being deployed on the tabletop as we get there. Ben's got a Skaven tied list. And so he's got, as you heard Laurie say, quite excitingly, he's got 9 Storm Fiends, and he's got 3 lots of 5 Scryer Acolytes, another 15 Scryer Acolytes, a Warp Lightning Cannon, and then it's a 1-drop army all inside the Warp Cog Convocation, in the Archback Voltic with Gas Cloud Choke Lung and the Warp Con Convocation. He's also got a general with the ranged an Arch Warlock general with the ranged Inventor and the Vigadust Injector. The names. Skaven names.
Just to confuse you.
Yeah, absolutely.
On a Saturday morning, what more do you need than an overcomplicated list?
But the most important thing he's got is the spell more Warp Power. He also has 2 more Warlock Engineers with more Warp Power, which is a nice like triple redundancy, because effectively the 9 Storm Fiends are the powerhouse.
Yep.
They're the bully unit in this army. 780 points.
Yeah, I mean it's a big cut of your list, right?
Huge portion of the list. And he's also got the Soul Scream Bridge, which is going to be some really interesting utility. Because effectively what he's going to be doing, if you guys can see there on the screen, Ben's at the top. So I'm not sure when Ben's going to deploy, but he gets a 12-inch... we've done that way too big. Let's fix that up. He's got a 12-inch kind of line where he's going to be able to move those. Then they also are set up within 6. So actually Soul Scream Bridge can move a unit 18 inches in, and you can just go and attack. And then the range on those Storm Fiends guns are 24 and 36.
Yeah, so that's some terrifying. So we're just getting some news from the table that only 5 Acolytes have been deployed, so that's probably why we can't see much deployment on Ben's side.
There you go. And as you can see, the terrain is a nice upgrade from the typical LGT terrain. It's not made of styrofoam. Oh, I mean, elements of it is made from styrofoam, but they've decided to put paint on it, which is, I got to say, a bold choice for the LGT team.
There's some really nice monochrome coloured terrain. I mean,
yeah. Let's be honest, James. You weren't impressed when you were here.
well, I'm really fond of the map.
Well, it's been really hard for me because last stream game that we obviously did, we did NashCon, and Anthony had provided loads of 3D printed terrain there, literally pennies on the dollar, as he explained it to me. Excellent terrain. So again, as we go around and do more coverage, we'll give you the honest feedback of what we're looking at, and what we're looking at is something that's fine.
Yeah. I think structurally for a game of tabletop gaming, it works and it serves its purpose. But when you put it on the stream, I'm not saying it's very pretty or nice to look at.
Yeah, I'd agree with that loads. So if we're looking at Laurie's list, which is deploying, Ben, by the way, has got a 1-drop Skaven list, which, by the way, I find terrifying, because normally a lot of the shooting lists that you find in Age of Sigmar are not 1-drop, which is, so that's your kind of, and 1-drops are almost a myth now. Like, they still happen. Change Host is still a very obvious one. Laurie, for a long time, ran a 1-drop Sylvaneth army, and has come from the environment of always being able to go first. He actually, as a player, has played for maybe nearly 2 years with an army where he's gone first. Now, he's played Khorne recently, Bobo, and he's played a bunch of different armies really well, but still is having to learn and develop the skill sets, which he's a fantastic player, by the way, but learn and develop the skill sets to be able to work against being not having the choice for the first turn.
Yeah, I think there's a strength to being able to choose whether you go first or second as well, right? So it's another level to your game if you've got to work out what you're playing.
Yeah, exactly.
Or what you're playing against, or what you've got to counter when you deploy.
So yeah, he's got but he hasn't got a 1-drop Sylvaneth list because the new book doesn't let you do that, or much in my opinion. But we'll talk about that later. So he has got an Arch Revenant, he's got a Paragon of Terror, he's got 2 Branch Wraiths, and he's got the Jewel of Withering and the Spirit Song Stave, and he's got the Deepwood spell, the Verdurous Harmony, and Throne of Vines. He's also got 20 Dryads, 20 Spite Revenants, 2 lots of 5 Spite Revenants, 9 Kurnoth Hunters, which is just crazy, 6 with Scythes, and then he's got an Outcast Battalion, and he's got the Spite Swarm Hive.
Yeah, So I've played the book a couple of times, and I'm not sure anything in it excites me, maybe rules-wise, but we shall see. So in theory, the list beat Sava's list the other day, and I know there'll be some changes and some kind of some edits to that, and maybe what we'll see is some almost strong counters to a list that beats Sava. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see, I think.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really interesting game. These are these are arguably two of England's finest competitors that we have playing on the tabletop. So it's going to be real interesting to see what they decide or how they decide to go about playing this game. I think so. What's really interesting about this matchup, because we're playing Star Strike. So if you guys have seen, you can see in the bottom of the overlay. Hey Speckles, how you doing? Also, hello to everyone in the Twitch chat. So sorry I haven't even said hello. I've just been too excited about the game of Warhammer.
Got too excited.
Too excited. How is everyone on Twitch? How are you?
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm getting it in my ear that 9 Storm Fiends are deploying.
Oh, the big bully unit.
So this is where it matters.
So who wins that fight? 9 Storm Fiends versus 9 Kurnoth Hunters. Who's the winner?
See that. I think that's quite a hard one. I mean, 20 Dryads are obviously going to win any fight because those great attacks that they have now. 9 Storm Fiends, 9 Kurnoth Hunters. I think it's hard to say. Maybe the Kurnoth Hunters. I think that the damage output there is huge in the right environment with
the
right
Kurnoth
stuff.
Hunters?
Yeah.
Yeah. The issue is going to be them getting in. Now, what's really interesting about Ben's list is he's only got the 15 and 3x5 acolytes. So he really. Thanks for joining the stream, everyone. Appreciate that loads. Sorry, unsubscribing. That's the words I'm trying to say. Just day what you got to get the cobwebs out.
It's still early
Cobwebs
Saturday
out.
morning,
Yeah,
and we're sat in a cricket batting cage. I mean,
Yeah.
the highest of luxury.
You guys should have the video. My Twitch is still fine, but not sure if there's a delay. Okay. So you guys should have. Anyway, I'll get to that in a bit. Can you guys see us on Twitch? I'm hoping you guys can see the Twitch feed. It should be working just regular as.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. It's working. Good.
Oh.
Okay. Well, it's working. Solid. All right. So if you guys can see the video, then we're all good. Thank you, Gitley. Appreciate that. I hope you're all good here. Maybe it's a Twitch thing. So as long as it's not our end, that's all. I wouldn't know how it would be. So the issue, sorry, as I was saying, is that Ben's list doesn't have many screens, and his screens are very expensive.
Yeah.
In the Scryer Acolytes. So he's got 3x5 units that are going to hold up not very much and not going to screen a lot of area, whereas Laurie has got a lot of board control with the Spite Revenants and the Dryads. Well, I say a lot. He's got a lot more board control than Ben has. But when we're talking about projection of power, this is why it's really exciting. The Kurnoth Hunters have got their move or their ability to teleport, because with being in Dreadwood, they're going to be able to spend a command point and they're going to be able to take where they are currently, teleport somewhere, charge, and they're going to need a 9 to charge. That's meant to be a 9. Clearly terrible. So that's going to be good. They're basically going to deep strike around the board. 9 dudes, charge in, go get the Storm Fiends. But he's going to be able to screen with the Acolytes. But Laurie doesn't have a lot of way of clearing the screens. Ben doesn't really have a fighting unit apart from the Storm Fiends. Yep. But so he's going to be shooting over the top. Well, it's going to be really interesting to see if Laurie is able to get the Dryad units to lock up the Storm Fiends so that they have to shoot into the Dryads, so that they waste a turn of shooting, so the Kurnoth Hunters can try and make a charge in.
Yeah.
That's going to be an interesting.
I think and there's a chance, isn't there? I mean, Sylvaneth, there's more chance of getting more bodies on the board, and it's going to hold up what is 9 Storm Fiends, which is basically the strongest part of his list.
Yeah, it's the pivot. So when we talk about lists, we've got bully units, which would be the 9 Kurnoth Hunters and the 6 Kurnoth Hunters, and obviously the support units in the Branch Wraiths, Chaff in Dryads, and Spite Revs. Well, Spite Revs not bad, but not against the Storm Fiends really. Maybe they can do a lot of attacks, but the key pieces really are the 9x6 Kurnoth Hunters and the 9 Storm Fiends. But the 6 Kurnoth Hunters could do a pretty good job against the Storm Fiends.
Yeah.
But once those Storm Fiends go down, Ben has nothing. So it's going to be really, really important that he engages how he wants to engage. Where this gets interesting when we're talking about the scenarios, we're playing Star Strike.
Yep.
So the first game is just the first battle round. Sorry,
is sitting.
it's just posturing.
Yeah,
It's just posturing. It's
flexing muscles.
Two peacocks walking around a table just with their chests out, just being all sorts of scary.
And just for anyone who would like to know, no one has their chest out yet, so you're not missing anything.
You're not missing anything at all. No. Okay, that is not what we want.
Cool. So we've got some acolytes going down in front of the Storm Fiends. So we've been talking about screening, and I guess we're about to see a screen kind of happen. The Sprite Revenants, I think, teleport around the board as well, right? So they've got some bagpipes or a flute or some form of musical instrument that allows them to magically teleport because, trees and spirits. That's how that works. So I guess that's a strength as well, right? Especially in something like Star Strike, where objectives deploying in a part of the board you're not in, that kind of a movement and ability to move around the boards is important.
Yes, absolutely. It's really, really important. But I think board control is actually arguably the most important part of this scenario. As you can see there, the sexy looking Storm Fiends by Mr. Ben Sava look great, don't they?
Yeah, and they feel, talking of board control, they feel a huge portion of table. But they're everything, what did we say, 720, 780 points.
Yeah.
I mean, it might as well be half his list.
Yeah, it's a ton. It's a ton. And if you actually also include the Warlock Engineer, he's also got the Vigor Dust Injector. He's also got the Vigor Dust Injector, so that's going to give him +1 to hit on that unit as well. More warp power is going to give him rerolls to hit, rerolls to wound, and an extra 1 damage on every shot that comes out of those 9 Storm Fiends. So it really has double down and just use that force multiplication. There we go.
Yeah, and I think so. Some Kurnoth Hunters, I think with great swords. I think we said. Yeah, so the Kurnoth Hunters with great swords are deploying in the woods, and there's a branch wraith. We're thinking there with them. So yeah, so they're around about here, I believe. Oh, missed an edge. So those are kind of deploying there. So I think we're already beginning to think about kind of that board control, that ability to move around the board quickly, and maybe kind of protecting those spellcasters and keeping those kind of buffs going for the game, because he's got to survive long enough to get into those Storm Fiends, right?
Yeah, absolutely. They have to survive. Now, obviously, the great thing about Sylvaneth Wildwoods is they do not have to deal in any way with shooting. They're like, can't shoot me, I'm hidden in the trees. So I think that's Laurie there showing just how much he respects his models. Just
doing a great job there, Laurie. Thanks. Okay, so Laurie's just made sure that we're aware he's reached the 4-colour minimum, which is 1 colour above the actual minimum.
If you'd like to tell him that
play.
we're zooming in on his army now.
We're just zooming in on your army, Laurie. Just zooming in.
So there you go. You can see the new Sylvaneth Wildwood. So you can see the hunters set up in the centre there. Safe, I would say.
Yeah, and that's a big kind of piece of board control in its own right as well. I mean,
yeah, realistically, I mean, the enemy is going to be able to go in there. The enemy is able to go into the Wildwood and go and attack it. See shit. You are able to go into the Wildwood and attack it. So that should be fine, but Ben's not going to be looking to deep strike. He's going to be looking to keep those units at range. What's really cool about this is you get to see the conversation that works so well with priority. The reason 40k can be a little bit polarizing really as a game is because the projection of power that you can get from ranged threats, realistically, and especially with you go, I go, it's very hard for melee armies sometimes to close that down. in this situation, Laurie's got and potentially might go for it, the potential to just have a double turn. So again, not being able to have any defense in depth from Ben because he's got limited screening. So he's only able to create one line and then his big blob. If there's a double turn that happens, then Laurie's just going to be able to go forward and
straight through, yeah.
Just give him a kicking. There's also a big narrative kind of element to this story as well, obviously, with Skaven just being angry as all hell and love burning things down, and tree people aren't that keen about having their stuff burnt.
Well, I don't think they probably like fire, really. It's probably not a great part of your life when you're made of a flammable object.
Yeah.
and all your friends are too.
Yeah, your mates, your wife.
Just anyone that you know is made of wood.
Yeah.
And some dirty rats with flamethrowers have been strolling on in.
So those war groves are going to be mad as hell, those Skaven. I'm going to be interested to see. So Ben gets the choice on who goes first, yeah, and we're going to find out if he's going to give it. I think we're almost done with deployment. There we go. By the way, Ben, commission painter, so his army is just grossly pretty.
Yeah, I mean, it's disgustingly pretty.
Disgusting. Is it disgustingly resilient though? Will we find that out over the course of the game?
We're getting there, right? So it's interesting to see that he's almost kind of bottlenecked.
Oh yeah. Chuckabee, thanks for subscribing to the knee stabbing game. You guys are breaking my heart this matchup. But Laurie for defecting from Sylvaneth, so I'm back in Benji. Laurie is playing Sylvaneth.
He is.
Yeah, he is playing Sylvaneth. Absolutely.
I'm not sure what Chuckabutty's.
I think maybe he defected from them for a while, so he's upset with that.
Okay, but I mean Chuckabutty, owner of probably 96% of armies in Age of Sigmar, apparently has a problem with an army in Age of Sigmar.
Oh, interesting. Very interesting. So it looks like Laurie's been given the first turn. Oh, they still haven't decided. They're still measuring. So can we talk about this, because this is super important. So nothing happens for the first battle round when it comes to scoring objectives.
Yep.
And it only so then in this centre line, one objective is going to land at the beginning of battle round 2.
Yep.
And then battle round 3, another objective is going to land somewhere on the field. But what these guys are doing, which I love, by the way, is they're prepping what they're doing in the first turn. Laurie has deployed, like as you see him at the bottom here, knowing that Ben is going to choose to go first. So when you're in the position where you know your opponent's going to go first, you get to choose. You're in this super tough spot. Do you deploy super aggressive and then they come and hit you?
Yep.
Or do you deploy super defensive? Then they give you the first turn, and then you're just kind of turtled up and you can't do anything the first turn. That's actually not that bad, though, in Star Strike particularly, because Star Strike's a really cool one, where for the first turn, it doesn't matter. You get to reposition. I think we're seeing the handshake. There we go. The handshake has occurred. They're ready. It's all on.
So we're about to decide who goes first.
It is happening.
Oh, there's a debate about it.
There is a debate about it. But who would you? Everyone in the Twitch chat. Ben gets to go. Ben gets a choice. Do you guys? Who do you think is going to? What would you do if you had the choice to go first? Would you go Skaven? Skaven. Ben is the Skaven player. He gets the choice. Okay. So there's some slow pay from Benjamin Sava.
Oh.
Laurie says that he's got into his head. It's pretty tense.
I mean, they haven't rolled a dice yet.
We could find out. We could find out from Laurie what his plan is if he thinks he wants to let us know. He'll come. James, I'll let you interview him and just find out what Laurie's thoughts are while Ben's currently indisposed. Benjamin, straight into the mic.
Come on then, Laurie.
Benjamin.
You can come sit with me and talk about your game before it's begun.
Yeah, so I'm just going to tell you all 5 turns. What's going to happen in every single turn. So that's how it's going to be, how brilliant it's going to be. So he set up really well. Like me and Sava played 2 weekends ago, final game in a little one day, a cheeky one day. And you can see that both of us have learned from that a little bit. So I'm trying to give him a real dilemma here, that if he takes first turn, he can hit me quite hard because he's when you deploy across from each other like we currently are, I just can't really hide away from his Storm Fiends. Those 9 hunters are set up so that if he uses the bridge, he can't hit them. The 9 hunters in the bottom right, if he uses the bridge, he can't hit them with anything. If he chucks them through the Gnaw hole, he can hit them with only the wind launchers, not the Gatling guns, or rattling guns. So I'm trying to make it tough for him to go after them because they're my big unit. but I have put down both of my branch wraiths in the wood in the middle of the board. He's just coming back now, so I'm going to go. And that's the choice, basically, for him.
Okay, cool. So we'll look forward to seeing what decision's made. Thanks, Laurie. See you in a bit. I'd say good luck, but I'm not going to choose sides.
Oh, you're not choosing sides. That's the whole point. That's the whole point about this.
I'm going to edge my bets.
Okay, all right. So
I want to see who takes first turn.
I didn't hear what Laurie said, so I'm excited to see if I say something different.
Okay, so you can talk. Me and the Twitch chat will see if you're right.
Honestly, I think it's a smart play for Ben to give away the first turn, set himself up for the double, and then to give. But I think if he gives away the turn, Laurie will just sit where he is, in my opinion.
Yeah.
No, actually, no, that's wrong. That's some snap decision making there. He's just going to scream. That's what he's going to do. Ben might have to take the first turn.
Well, yeah. So the debate kind of that Laurie's just had with us was that kind of measuring aloud that if he uses his Soul Scream Bridge, it's not going to allow him to hit any of these 9 Kurnoth Hunters that are back here, which is kind of his big body unit, and he's kind of pre-measured because he's worked out that he can't basically avoid all shots. That if the Storm Fiends use this Gnawhole here, that they'll only shoot with their Windrush launchers, and they won't be able to hit with their Gatling guns.
Right.
So he's limiting the amount of attacks that are allowed if Ben goes first. So he's kind of trying to force him to choose to go first to get some shots off, but then I guess not get enough shots off to make it worthwhile committing 780 points of his list, right?
Yeah, I think it's about mitigating the potential input that can come in, knowing that he's always going to get that level of input going in. So we're going to find out what's going on here. So there's some. Look at that.
So we've just had a mild misplace, I think. So we're just recalibrating based on that.
Oh, what? So Ben accidentally put something in the wrong place.
Yeah, right. So I think the space.
We'll find out from the tabletop.
Okay, so the Storm Fiends should have had enough space between them, I think, and the Acolytes to allow for the deployment of the bridge.
Yeah.
There.
Right. There we go.
So Laurie's been very nice and just let him tweak that.
Well, Laurie is a very nice man. He is a very nice man. There you go.
Okay, so we had just under an inch of change there, and basically, so the Soul Scream Bridge it fits there. So if you saw that base go down,
that's what's happening.
That's where it's going.
That's where it's happening. Okay. Very interesting little change there, and very nice of Laurie, even in a tense tactical game. If you guys are watching on Twitch, we're not sure why you're not able to get the video feed, but thankfully it's already somewhere else over on the Facebook page.
Yeah.
So that's nice. I'm not sure exactly what's going on. So we're in the off, as they say, ladies and gentlemen, and it looks like Ben is taking the first turn. So.
Okay, cool.
Ben's taken the first turn here, and it is off.
Laurie's already jumping.
Laurie's jumping around already.
Okay,
He's
so
very excited.
He's cast Soul Scream Bridge on a 10.
Okay, big deal. So that base is just like a representation. Ben does actually have a really nice Soul Scream Bridge painted up, but have you used the Soul Scream Bridge model?
I have not, but I've seen one used.
It's nightmarish.
So there you
go. Look, there you go. Really pretty. Thank you. Little Soul Scream Bridge.
I mean,
gone in there. See,
something's going to break in there.
Yeah.
That one Acolyte almost died.
So apparently the video feed on Twitch may be back. So I'm hoping that's up. So Soul Scream Bridge is really cool. So this unit of Storm Fiends has to be wholly within 6 of it. Then you set the other Soul Scream Bridge up within 10. So we'll go find out where that is. And then you can see it going on the top there. So then you can set up the Storm Fiends now if he decides to do it within 6 of that. So then he's going to be able to shoot over here. Really interesting that Laurie. So there's a lot of gamesmanship in top level Warhammer, right? Because there's a lot of decision paths in what you're going to do. So over here, as you can see, Laurie's gone, well, you're not going to be able to hit these with all your things. So maybe why don't you come over here, and fight these? Like that early commitment's big, but he's shooting into line of sight blocking woods. So that's going to be really interesting to see if that's the right choice.
Okay. Yeah. So some of the terrain I think is overgrown. Where we're heading.
Okay.
So whether that's going to make a difference or not, I guess.
Yes, this terrain here, by the, we'll find out. All right, yes, perfect. There we go. Yeah, so you're right. So that piece of terrain that we have here is overgrown.
Yeah. So I guess that's a defensive kind of. Oh well, it could be defensive, right? If it kind of ruins a charge or a.
Well, it means he's not going to be able to see over it, so it's going to block line of sight. So I think he's. I don't know why the Soul Screen Bridge is going there. Maybe the acolytes. Maybe he's actually going to push out because this is like this defensive line here is good. So maybe we won't see the Storm Fiends go forward. Maybe we'll just see the acolytes go forward and create kind of more board space and more board control potentially.
And I guess he kind of wants to kind of hold up any more Wildwoods coming down or any more kind of teleporting. Those Sprite Reverence and their little, I think, bagpipes. I'm going with bagpipes. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong.
The waste pipes. He hasn't got any waste pipe units in the list.
Okay.
There should be more bagpipe style units in the game. There.
Yeah,
But
so.
Looks like the Storm Fiends are going down the other end of the Soul Screen Bridge, so that's really interesting. There you go. So all of the rattling guns at the front. So there's rattling guns and there's not warp fire throws, wind launchers.
Yeah.
Is how Ben's kitted these out. That is a ton of damage. Reroll into hit and reroll into wound. It's outrageous and is a current big play. A lot of people talking about this list.
Yeah.
This is meant to be the scary one out there.
And he's doing well with it, right? I mean, he's a good player and a strong player anyway. But it's doing well. It's playing well, and shooting seems to be kind of growing in strength again, right? So something that's churning out that much damage in a shooting attack's never going to be a pleasant surprise when it comes across from you on a table.
No, but it is going to potentially. So that we can see the setup. So this piece of terrain that you can see here is actually overgrown. That's the kind of the white building in front. So that means he's not going to be able to shoot over the top of that either. So that's going to be, sit. So this is blocking line of sight here. This is blocking line of sight. So I don't really know what his plan is. Maybe he wants them to charge.
So that's the Arch Warlock going down there next to all those Storm Fiends.
Okay, so he's going to be. So he'll. I imagine he's cast more warp power. We're going to double check with our table boss to make sure that's the case. And if he has done that, he's got rerolls to hit, rerolls to wound, and +1 damage.
So more warp power has gone down.
Yeah, so that was cast in the hero phase before.
Yeah.
So we're in the movement phase now because the hero phase will be over and the movement phase will be happening because the Storm Fiends actually move during. You do the Soul Screen Bridge during the movement phase. Okay,
cool.
Which is where it differs from the old bringy dinghy, as they call it.
The
old bringy dinghy. Yeah. So Twitch chat, I'd like to know who your money is on. Are you still not choosing a side, James?
Do you know what? I'm gonna put my hold in and I'm gonna go with Laurie and some trees.
Are you?
Yeah.
Okay. How come? That chat with him made you very sick. Made you think it was the way.
Do you know what? I think it's age old. I don't really like Skaven.
Yes, you did actually tell me this. You did say that you have a personal, impassioned hatred of Skaven.
Yeah. So narratively, not a fan. And if they come in to burn their wives and their children, I feel like I'll go with the good guys today.
You're gonna go with the good guys. Yeah.
And that's relative, and I'm sure someone will question my choice. But I'm gonna go with the trees that are about to get burnt to death.
Yes. If anything, what we're looking at is climate change in real life, played out on the table.
Exactly.
Yeah. We have the machinacious and technological kind of industry of the Skaven versus the natural world of the Sylvaneth, and unfortunately, death be upon them.
Okay, so a Warlock Engineer has run to a gun.
Okay.
That's what I'm getting in my ear.
What you actually find, a Warlock Engineer has run to the... yes.
Yeah.
The Warp Lightning Cannon.
So the Warp Lightning Cannon, which is, I think...
It's just over there.
Just over there.
I'll go get it for you. There you go. So Warp Lightning Cannon's over here. So what you think you're looking at is some screening from those acolytes is what Ben's currently up to. So warp lightning cannon. It's gone a bit far. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, if there's any ladies watching, I would love to hear it.
You never know.
There you go. So back to the top down, or we'll find out what's going on there. So, yeah, the warp lightning cannon is over yonder. Yeah. Happy with that?
Yeah.
Good. Solid. Right.
Thanks for checking.
El Capitan says, I'll go Skaven just to annoy James. I'm backing Skaven on this one, says Tamdir.
Okay.
Angry Avery says, anything elf-related deserves a major loss. Lol. It's Skaven for me. I also want to game a very strong list, and Storm Fiends are incredibly rough to deal with. You are correct, Seb. Nice to see you too. And then Adi Mac, hey baby, says, I cannot stand those little rat fucks, so fuck them. And then, but AOS Coach is all about Laurie Huggett Wiggett. So it seems like everyone is emotionally on Sylvaneth's side.
That's what I like to see.
And against the Skaven.
Oh, so we've moved into shooting. So we should see a lot of dice.
Yeah, you should. We should see some dice rolls. So what unit is shooting what is what the table boss will tell us.
So 5 are shooting at the branch wraith at the back.
So okay. It's okay. We're going to do some live training here. 5 what are shooting what?
So 5 storm fiends
Are shooting at the branch wraith at the back.
at the back.
That's a smart play, because realistically, if you kill that, then you kill the ability to summon more dryads onto the board. Which is a big
So
deal.
both of them. Okay. So both branch wraiths are dead now. Branches.
Both branch wraiths are dead.
I can never say that name.
Branch
Maybe
wraith.
Yeah.
Branch wraith.
Maybe I shouldn't have gone
Do you
for
want me
them.
to do Brummy? Oh, I can't do it. Can't
No,
do it.
don't
I am
do it.
originally. I'm from Cannock originally.
Well.
I do it all day. So
There
both
you
branch
go.
wraiths are dead.
Yeah, I
Oh,
think so.
Can't
yeah.
believe it. So that's huge. That's huge for Laurie.
Okay, so the rest of the storm fiends can't shoot. So that overgrown terrain that we discussed earlier has gotten in the way.
So that's here, as you guys can see.
So
But losing both branch wraiths is a big deal, because
Yeah.
it means he's not going to be able to put the dynamic between these two lists is that you can summon with the Storm Fiends, but you can't summon with the Sylvaneth. You can't summon with the Skaven, but you can get some summoning from the Sylvaneth. But now that's been taken from him.
yeah, so there was an interesting. So as I kind of caught up with Sava earlier before the game kind of started and the stream started, there was a debate about the other day when they played and how much those branch wraiths had kind of changed the game, and he felt made him struggle.
So interesting. So the early play that we're seeing there now.
Okay, cool. So the warp lightning cannon's just overcharged, done a wound to itself, and killed. I think 5. Did we say 5 sprite revenant? 7 sprite revenants from the big unit.
Okay, so there's a unit of 20 Spite Revenants.
Yeah, who've now lost 7.
Okay, so that's really interesting. So, because I think what you're seeing from Ben, really, early play, is to get rid of those characters. And he definitely thinks it's a really important gambit. So, because he's got the hunters but they only move 5, so it's whether or not these hunters decide to run, whether or not Laurie decides to run out of here and just go for the charge and go into those guys, or if he elects to sit back, or even maybe try and redeploy and move around. I really I'm interested to see what Laurie's counterplay is. I'd be super interested to know why Ben made that decision early, because for the life of me, and this is what's cool, I honestly don't know.
No idea. So Laurie's turn's about to stop.
Yeah, so that's the end of Ben's turn. So as you can see, if we look at the board, you consolidate those 9 Storm Fiends have consolidated there. You've got you racked up with the what are they called? Scryer Acolytes. Perfect. So they're at the back of the board. But there's no objectives yet. So currently, we're not sure who is, who's going to be winning. What do you think? What do you think Sylvaneth can potentially do
here? Hero phase is done. It's a bad time for Laurie. So the Arch Revenant is currently not deployed. And the 2 heroes that are on the board are dead. So yeah.
Very interesting.
No hero phase there.
No hero phase, that's easy.
Straight into movement.
Which is quite rare, actually, for a Sylvaneth army, realistically.
great stuff. So those sword cone hunters are strolling out of the woods.
So they're going for it.
So they're going for it.
They're going for
I,
it.
you know, I guess that's a good bit of bait, right? So this big blob here, which is 780 points, is a tempting mistress. Oh.
Oh, they've had a big old cuddle. We're not sure exactly why. Laurie's just calming it. Laurie's just calming it down. The guys have just had a big old cuddle. They're really good friends as well, so it's really nice to see them competing against each other.
And fall out over war games, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what they're about, right? That's exactly what's going on. Laurie's going to be moving that unit forward. Do you think he's not ran though, has he? So I wonder if he's got this charge, if that's going to be available for him to get.
And I don't know. Maybe that's what the cuddle was about. Maybe there's some concern about how far those kind of hunters are going, and if they're ever going to kind of lock up that huge blob, because he's either playing for, I guess, a double turn now, or he's got to strategically play defensively.
Well, it doesn't look like it's too far realistically. That could be a 12.
Okay.
It's within charge range. And often you shouldn't leave someone the opportunity to do it, because it's going to be that big dice roll for that.
Yeah.
To see. Now, obviously, there's some other movement happening.
Yeah. So the Arch Revenant's deployed somewhere within this woods.
There you go. So you guys can just see it a little bit clearer.
And some Dryads are going to move.
Sorry, guys.
We're getting overexcited with camera controls.
All day long.
Okay, cool. So he's deploying just in front of those Dryads. I think that Arch Revenant.
Okay, so you got the Arch Revenant going down, so he's going to
Yeah.
be looking to do the buffs on the Kurnoth Hunters. I don't think so. He's past the command phase, or he's past the hero phase,
Yeah.
so he's not going to be doing any redeploying, which is interesting because killing both of those two heroes also meant he wasn't able to, because the Arch Revenant was in deep strike, he wasn't able to take use of the ability to redeploy his units. So he's been in a super tough spot there. Yeah. And then we're just going to see what else he's going to do. I think he's going to consolidate, but it looks like he's actually, he's giving himself another chance.
So he's spending the command point from his battalion to redeploy the 9 Kurnoth Hunters. Yeah, so they're the ones with the scythes, and they're redeploying kind of in this portion of the board here, I think. I'm leaning across Rob, so my line's not perfect, sorry. But yeah, so they're deploying over there, which I guess gives him a couple of chances to kind of get into those Storm Fiends.
Yeah, it gives him 2 chances at the roll, right? A 9-inch charge, and then if he's got a CP spare, we'll get the CP updated to make sure we've got that right.
So I think they both started with 2.
They both started. Yeah, they both did start with 2. I don't think we've seen any spent yet.
So Laurie would have had a 3rd for starting this term, right? Unless I'm wrong, he should be back down to 2 with that CP spent to redeploy.
Yeah, well, it should just say it on the overlay for you guys, so it's good. Yeah,
just talking it through.
It's just, always helpful. Always helpful. How are you finding it? Are you enjoying yourself?
Yeah, I'm having a nice day.
Yeah, we're going for it. The unit of Dryads, the big unit of 20 Dryads are going to move forward as well. It's really going to come down to these charges. That's going to be. You're right. There is a lack of carrot interaction on the board.
So some Dryads are moving up as well, I guess. So he's starting to try, maybe kind of push that screen.
Yes.
Okay, and five Revenants are moving towards that warp lightning cannon.
Okay. Yeah, over here. But we'll talk about that in a bit. That's fine. We can see the movement. So the 20 Dryads are also potentially going to have a charge and lock them in. I'm interested to see what Laurie chooses to charge with first. Would be there you go. So measuring it out. I'm interested to see what he decides to go for. I honestly can't wait, because this is probably going to be me. It's not going to be the game, but it is going to be.
Yeah.
It's going to be pretty important for how it goes forward. And who's going to win realistically?
Yeah, and I think depending on how kind of these charge rolls goes and this combat goes, depends on what anything that's happening in the next phase or turn, and if those droids get in and survive. Okay. So we're going to do the charging phase now. So
Here we go. So
okay, so he's failed a charge with it, and he spent another command point to re-roll it.
So hold on. We're going to see here.
So it seems to be being measured. Okay, so he's rolled an 11.
Wow.
So
that's unit of sword
9,
hunters.
I think.
No, that's a
Okay,
6.
it's a sword. Sorry, so it's the
unit
6.
of 6 swords have gone into Storm Fiends. That's huge.
Yeah.
It's a huge.
And an 11 is a good roll.
A very, very good roll.
It's worth spending that command point to get that 11.
Laurie didn't react, which is very important, realistically. We're going to wait for these charges to be over, and then we're going to get an update from our man in the field, Mr. Donald Taylor. We're going to see if also the unit, because if this 9 happens as well from the unit of Scythe Hunters, it's going to be massive.
Yeah, and the range on those scythes is huge, so even if that space isn't enough to get them all in, he's going to get a lot of attacks.
Do you know what's really interesting is it could the Storm Fiends have been bait? Am I seeing this? Because Ben knows that that was a potential to happen. So did he think it was important? Because you have got 6 shooting Storm Fiends, but you've also got 3 combat Storm Fiends. But rerolling to hit, rerolling to wound with +1 damage. Has he actually used the shooting ones as bait? Yeah. Because he also has a unit of 15 Scryer Acolytes. If you do more warp power on the Scryer Acolytes, then they come in. You basically will wipe out the 2 major threats, realistically, off the board. Maybe he's got rid of the summoning because he's going to play an attrition game really, really quick.
It'll be interesting to see kind of what happens with that and how these go, and I guess the amount of damage that comes out of these charges. Okay, so the Sprite Revenants have also made a charge into the Warp Lightning Cannon here.
Wow. Okay, so that went through that travelled through the gnaw hole there. So that's not great. That's not good.
I don't feel like a cannon's probably the best thing to be.
If you guys have just joined us and watching live on Twitch, if you press there's a button on the Twitch overlay called BIP. If you press that, it'll actually bring up the lists for you to be able to see the lists, so you'll know exactly what's going on, realistically. So the
finite measuring.
Yeah, some finite measuring. So the combat scene. So while we wait to see what happens with the combat, let's go to our man in the field, Mr. Donald Taylor. He's going to be telling you what's happening in the rest of the LGT, because there's 100 players here competing to be the grand champion. The current grand champion is playing on the table next to Donald, and this is a man who is good at many things, but cycling isn't one of them. Donald.
Hey Rob, thanks for the glorious introduction as always. You know what's really good as a reporter? Trying to provide some really interesting updates. You know what doesn't allow that? Star Strike. It's absolutely dog shit as a scenario. Nothing happens. Everyone's super cagey. So when I come around looking at 50 odd tables, there's like 2 that are moderately interesting, and the rest are pretty dire. Give you an example: Leo versus Colin Cochrane, Fire Slayers versus Iron Jaws. You expect him to be in combat from turn 1. Turn 2 of the Iron Jaws, all he did was move to the right 2 inches. It was really, really tragic to watch. Take a look on some of the pictures on Twitter if you don't believe me. What was more interesting is Jack Armstrong with his TM build of Skaven versus Ben Raven's Khorne. 4 Bloodthirsters. Turn 1, 1 Bloodthirster dies. Turn 2, another 2 die. Turn 3, Jack's decided to let the Bloodthirster live just so that Ben can do something while he scores the objectives and win. Which is almost as interesting as Steve's Curtis's game against Shane Ford. Steve's running his Feck. Feck obviously super well balanced. Absolutely no one thinks Feck is unbalanced. Beastmen, less so. Everyone knows Beastmen are incredibly overpowered. So Steve takes an aggressive turn 1, kills most of Shane's army, surprise to everyone. Turn 2, Shane has 5 models left, wins a priority, so keeps some alive. Then Steve kills everything. Shane's left at the start of his turn 3 with nothing left, but manages to summon a Chimera because he's got some points. Charges into Terrorgeist, kills it. So fuck Steve and fuck Terrorgeists. Am I allowed to curse? Maybe not. I'll take that back in case Rob gets banned from YouTube. that's pretty much the only 2 exciting games. I went over to Maxim and Ming, and it's a Nurgle army versus Trogoth, but they're both really beautiful people, so I keep on getting distracted, and I have no idea how that's going. Again, check out Instagram or Twitter just to look at the opponents and the armies. Mark Mitzi from the Mitzi and Jimbo show, the other one, not this one, the attractive one with the much better painted Gitz army as opposed to Jimbo's Stormcast that he spent apparently 3 years on, or 4 years if you listen to the rumours. Beautiful army, probably going to lose because he's playing Slanesh, but he has the moral victory, and at the end of the day, that's all that's important. Advice to any TOs doing the Honest Wargamer coverage: don't run Starstrike. It's a pile of balls. That's me done.
Hello, and we're back. It's nice to see you guys. Donald not happy with this particular scenario, apparently.
But he's having a nice day. I
He's
reckon.
having a nice day, it seems. He's having a great time out there in the world. Currently, we're back to that big combat that we saw there.
And you're about to see a big hole in Stormfiends.
How many died?
So we had 4 dead Stormfiends and 27 wounds, I think, in all.
Wow.
Sorry, Sarah. I'm going to just go kind of update. So the other side of the table, the Warp Lightning Cannon's fighting as well. It killed 1 Sprite Revenant. That's not so exciting. And they did 4 wounds to it. So we're going to go back over to this.
Okay, right. So if you guys just joined us, thank you for joining us. We're here at the London Grand Tournament 2019 to find out who's going to become the AOS champion of this event. It's a 5-game match play tournament, so stick with us. Round 1 is Starstrike, and we've got Skaven run by Ben Sava against Laurie Huggett Wild. Benjamin, got to keep saying that. But against Laurie with his Sylvaneth. Ben got the choice to go first. Ben gave the turn away to Laurie. Ben took the first turn,
yeah.
So we're still in turn 1. He then popped over his 9 Stormfiends through the Soulscreen Bridge. He then fired off and killed 2
Branch Wraiths.
2 Branch Wraiths, killed 2 Branch Wraiths, murdered them dead. An Arch Revenant came down, and then a unit of 6 in Laurie's retaliatory go. He moved forward, and he got an 11-inch charge with his unit of 6 Sword Hunters, and has just gone in. And I think we're going to see a ton of them removed.
Yeah,
we've seen 3 at least.
3 have just died. So 4 dead Stormfiends of 9.
4.
3 dead Kurnoth Hunters. So this combat's kind of playing out. There's a Stormfiend getting some wounds on it, which I'm guessing is the original carryover from the original combat, and they're just kind of cleaning up the end of that combat, I guess.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So we've got 3 dead Kurnoth Hunters, which actually was probably a pretty good result.
You happy with that?
Yeah.
You happy with that? That's not too bad. I mean, so there's going to be a battle shot test to take on those Kurnoth Hunters.
Yeah. I think that round kind of tied it up, and they're beginning to do the deployment of the objective.
Yes. Okay, so we're going to see whether the objective goes down.
So 1 has been rolled.
So it's over there on that far side. And then don't forget the priority roll dice tray. So we'll see the priority roll going off in a minute. That's going to be very exciting. So don't forget that Ben is red and Laurie is blue. Ben is red and Laurie is blue. Ben really wants the turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, so... Laurie's got a 6!
Oh, that was a lot of noise.
And Ben has also rolled a 6. That is tense as hell. A double 6 for the priority roll. However, because Laurie went second, Ben gets the turn. Well, Ben gets to choose.
Should we tell them we weighted those dice?
Yeah. By the way, every priority roll that we see is going to be all 6s every time.
That's 1... Ben's taking the turn, apparently.
Yeah, of course.
I'm really surprised.
I'm really surprised. Although it's going to be really interesting because so let's look at what he can do here. He's obviously got some mortal wounds to do in shooting. The Warp Lightning Cannon is going to shoot into these units of Spite Revs. But I'd be surprised if those Stormfiends move back. I imagine what they'll do is the 15 Acolytes are going to shoot into these, clear them off. Hopefully.
Yep.
And then the Stormfiends are going to pump into those 9 hunters, but I don't know if that's the right choice, but might be what he decides to do.
I think he's got to try and clear as much as physically possible now, hasn't he? I think
He does.
And those Stormfiends are, the bully of his army, and they've got to do some work.
Yeah, I mean, he stuck them out there. I'm surprised that they stood up so well to the sword hunters. That's why I always choose scythes, not swords, all the time, every single time. But Laurie did go for a unit 6, and he thought there was a good justification as to why. So I can't argue with that. Laurie's played a lot of Sylvaneth, more than I at this stage.
Yeah.
So I definitely will agree with what he's thinking.
I think they knocked out about 27 wounds, so it's a pretty good chunk.
Yeah, it's really really solid. Yeah, it's not bad at all. And also, I'd be interested to know which from our table boss, which Stormfiends are left in that unit, because obviously there are 9, which means there are 3 weapon types. Yep. So it'd be interesting to know which ones are in the unit. So he'll tell us that in a moment, I'm sure. So hello everyone in the Twitch chat. Thanks for joining us. Love seeing you guys, and hope that you are well. Don't forget, if you want to look at the lists, if you guys want to look at the lists, you can just press the BIP, and that will bring up the lists. So that's on your Twitch overlay.
So we've got 3 Windrush launchers left and 2 Rattling guns.
So 2 Rattling guns and 3 wind launchers. Yeah. Okay. So so what's really interesting about that is the models that he removed were the combat models. And then he was like, nope, I'm keeping the shooting. And it was still the shooting that went through 15 wounds of Kernoth Hunter. So still, like, really, because they're reroll to hit and reroll to wound, that more power is crazy good with +1 damage. Hi, Charles Black, by the way.
So the bridge is coming back. So it's been dispelled and recast.
Very interesting. So he's going to move, I think he's just going to move them out of the way then.
Yeah, maybe.
That's going to be... BIP is VIP. That is so cool. Yes, thank you very much. Super easy. So you can be watching the game and look at the list at the same time. But you do miss out on the sweet Twitch chat.
Cool. So More's also been cast.
Okay, so more Warp Power has been cast on the Stormfiends.
On the Stormfiends?
Yes, on the Storm.
On an 11.
No messing about.
All the 11s.
on all the 11s. Right. So I think this looks like it's going in Ben's favour at this stage.
Whoa. Going against my army here. Going against my vote.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure.
I've decided that's how this works today.
Yeah, just that they're your army and you want them to do well. I don't know.
So I think kind of securing the turn was important.
I mean, it was
both
huge.
Sides of the table.
It was huge.
So it looks like the Rats might have a good chance here.
I think they have a very good chance, realistically, and they're going to do some pretty scary work. But can they come back? That's the real question. Do you think? What do you think?
I think. Oh, so the Stormfiends are legging it.
So they're going.
Yeah, so they're coming out of combat. So I guess what he's doing is protecting. And so you're probably right. So he's almost used them as bait.
Yeah, to get them the Kernoth Hunters where he needs them to get
so
them.
they're out of the woods, out in the open.
Yeah, and those 3 sword hunters are fairly scary, but now it's the block of 9 that really he really needs to concentrate on and start to. And also, not forget, I'll go back to the overlay. You can see this is where the objective landed.
Yeah.
So realistically, Ben is going to have to fight on this side of the table. Laurie has got to feel very comfortable that he's got his biggest, most scary block right next to the objective, with his kind of objective holding unit of dryads here, not too far away, to kind of like swap hands, and pass the objective over at some point.
So I guess a lot of it's going to be now on how many of those 9 Kernoth Hunters can be set on fire, right?
Yes. This is going to be like the Brazilian rainforest. This is going to be just
too soon.
This is just soya farmers just burning down trees. I think this is the narrative of the story. Actually, I think realistically, Ben, most people don't know actually, as a commission payer and is a soya latte perfectionist.
Yeah.
Big fan. So he probably wants to burn some trees down so he can plant some more soybeans
Probably.
in the mortal realms. Yeah,
It's important, those soybeans.
Would you go to a Skaven coffee cafe?
Probably not.
Do you think it would be poisonous, or?
I think there would be a chance that if they thought you had more money than them, they'd probably poison you. Narratively. They don't like anyone doing better.
They do not.
Maybe they'd let you spend most of your money there and then finish you off and take the rest.
Ultra capitalist Skaven.
As good as Skaven get, right?
Yeah.
As capitalist as possible.
Yeah, so it's really interesting. Charles Black in the chat is saying with more warp power, it really could be. Didn't think you could dispel and cast and dispel in the same phase. AD can, as long as it's a new turn. So the first thing Ben had to do. So the ordering with endless spells is you have to the very first thing you do in the hero phase is unbind and end the spell. First thing, but it does mean you can then recast it. But you can't cast it, unbind it, and recast it. You have to always unbind first. So you can, which is why you see sometimes things like Geminids thrown at the end, like on in the bottom part of a battle round, then give the turn away, move the Geminids through their army, and then you can unbind it and cast it again, and then do it again. It's just horrible. It's just a horrible.
I mean, who'd take a spellcasting army? Yeah? Who'd do that? What sort of low person would take a spellcasting army?
I don't know. The worst people.
I agree.
He's moved the Stormfiends away, and also I'm almost certain he's going to be able to shoot because it doesn't count as a retreat.
Yeah.
It's a setup. So that means he's going to be able to shoot with those as well, which is why the bridge. It's just really cool having the bridge in there. And I've talked about this a lot on the Monday shows that we do, and how that's going to really impact like mid-tier shooting armies or mid-range shooting armies, and that Stormfiend unit is exactly that.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see kind of some of these endless spells now, isn't it, that add so much kind of movement mechanic to an army that wouldn't have them otherwise. I think there's certain armies that have always had those kind of redeploy options, and some of these endless spells now. So this bridge and that little tugboat. Both kind of bring that to the field, I think, for everyone else. I mean, the boat probably not as effectively now, but
the boat is still good. The boat is still good, but I think the bridge in this particular situation is arguably much better because you can send the heroes over as well to do the work. That's right. You are right, Grobdugda. Dispel and unbind. Get the words right. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Okay.
Easy. Go for it.
So what we can see kind of back here, I guess, is the warp lightning cannon moving back through a gnaw hole back here, and I guess Ben's what he's kind of do is hunkering back up and castling the objective, I guess.
Yes. This objective here. I mean, there are still two more objectives to go through, and I think what's been a smart play by Ben early, I mean, lucky to get the priority roll realistically, was to stop there being any more units. So now he's looking at the Sylvaneth army, and he's like, these are the only units I have to deal with on the board. 2 branch races are dead. Not going to have to look at any more dryads. Not going to have to worry about them. These are all the units that I'm going to have to deal with. So that's good. And then also those mid-range acolyte units, which are here. They haven't moved, so they're not going to do any shooting. But those 15 acolytes are no slouches either. They can do some more work. So there's a lot of damage potentially.
Yeah. So our movement phase is over.
Okay. And we've gone into the shooting phase.
Yeah.
So I imagine we're going to see those Stormfiends unload realistically, but we'll find out. Do you think they're going to?
Well, I mean, it'd be stupid not to, right?
But would you? Would you not just like give him a chance? Would you just be like, you know what? Maybe I won't right now.
Well, maybe because I backed him, but Ben didn't. I wouldn't imagine.
I don't imagine he did. No.
So I'm not sure his Ben's on my side of the table at the moment.
So there we go. There's the armies as we can see them. Pretty devastating, realistically. So yeah, those Stormfiends here into the 9 hunters. I would say they look like they're lined up for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now they're going to get to bring the rattling cannons to bear as well. Last time they only had the wind launchers. We're now also going to have the rattling cannons. But there's 3 wind launchers and only 2 rattling cannons.
Yeah.
Because the rest got killed by the initial charge.
So So there's 23 shots with the rattling guns.
Wow.
Which that's a lot of dice.
It is a lot of dice. What's really good about that is with more power is you add in +1 damage to each one of those that you get through.
Yeah.
And so it's just those weighted dice. So I expect to see a ton of those hunters go down. And also the acolytes, those 15 acolytes are here, and they're going to do the work as well. They might get countercharged from the dryads, but I don't think he minds losing those.
Yeah, I think at this point, kind of those 9 Kernoth hunters, what he wants to remove from the table, I imagine.
Yeah. He that is the only single large threat. He can probably deal with these 3 sword hunters now, like, and attrition them a little bit. But those 9, the big bully.
Yeah.
And then go through it. And but that's a lot of wounds.
Yeah.
It's a lot of wounds in that blob. But the Kernoth hunters are really, really good in combat. So Laurie's made a really good choice against generally the meta armies that you see currently in Age of Sigmar. In all the combat, because they can take a charge, and when you do charge them, they're going to re-roll their saves. But against shooting, they're like, nope, just my 4-up wooden armor.
Yeah,
please save me. Yeah. Oh wow.
So
5 hunters have just been removed from the
tabletop. So we've lost 5, and the wind launchers haven't shot yet.
Oh my god.
So there might be none left in a minute, I feel.
Whoa.
So there's three wind launchers left to go.
So that was just 2, by the way. 5 Kernoth hunters gone down to just 2 rattling cannons to give you some sort of indication about the sheer volume of potential output.
So they've got more warp power on as well. So I guess the extra damage is going to help, right?
It's the extra damage, and it's the reroll to hit and reroll to wound. And because he's also got the injector, that gives him +1 to hit.
So I'm going to interrupt, Rob, because 9 Kernoth hunters have just been removed from the table, and they were painted. So 25 wounds. Okay, so 45 wounds came out of that shooting.
I'm trying not to swear anymore so that kids can watch it on
there
Saturdays.
There we go, yeah.
But
I'll just hit him with a pen if that happens. So
yeah,
if you hear him
try
cry,
not to.
it's my fault.
Holy, that's
Yeah.
unreal.
I mean, and Laurie put 4 colours on those models.
Yeah, he did. He put. It's just mental. It's just crazy. That is so much output.
I'm slightly lost for words at this, but that was some painful experience, I think.
Yeah, which is why you're seeing the list run, right? Because it's the really interestingly, I want to do a big shout out to John Dale. Some people don't. He's not like a particularly famous Warhammer player. If any of them are so famous, that's such a stupid statement. Apologies. But actually, the very first week that the Skaven book came out, John Dale, who's an old Warhammer player, Age Sigmar player, when we did the very first. When we did the Sheffield Slaughter coverage beginning of the year, Skaven book had only been out a week. He was already running a 6 block of Storm Fiends.
Okay.
He was running that with the Arch Warlock and the Vigor Dust Injector, and giving them more power. So already, this has been a list that's been around since February. But really, I would say that if we talk to Ben at some point, and there are more versions of the list I'm seeing around. We also saw it from one of the Irish players who came over to Bobo as well. An apology for him, who was also, I don't know his name, I forgot.
Okay.
But he was also running 9, one of the Irish crew. So it's been a list that's been around a while.
Yeah.
There are people using it, but I think it's a direct reaction to the combat that you're seeing from Slaanesh.
Yeah.
Because people shoot them dead.
Yeah, and then you're kind of minimising anything that they're going to do, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my God, is that James from Scribes talking? His excellent zone just comes out. There you go. So everyone pretty impressed by the Storm Fiend output.
Oh, so I think we've lost. Okay, so we've got 1 sword left on 1 wound.
1 sword. Oh, what? Because of the acolytes?
So the acolyte and the warp lightning cannon shot them. So there's just 1 wound left on the one poor sword kind of hunter.
Yes. Okay. Devastating.
Yeah. This is going to be an uphill struggle now, I think.
Yeah. Well, they're going to have to regrow some trees,
Yeah.
realistically.
The fire's spreading. There's about 3 weeks to burn, I think, for this to catch up to real life. I'm not sure I can talk for that long.
No, I mean, but I would say that Laurie could potentially like try to. So let's look, because I always like to think, oh, like let's give it a try.
Yep.
The issue is with those Storm Fiends is they've got some pretty devastating range, even in the wind launchers. But in conjunction with the Soul Screen Bridge, even though they're here, they're going to be able to project power. They're going to be able to bridge over to there and still project power probably around here.
Yeah.
Because what I would maybe do in his turn is just fall back, and just try to hope that the objectives come down where he needs them, jump onto those objectives and sit there, clear out the Warp Lightning Cannon, which is dead, by the way.
No, it's done a runner.
Oh, it's gone. Sorry,
so it's
I missed
over
that.
this side of the board somewhere, I think.
So, there we go. So, potentially he could,
Potentially he could.
Yeah.
I think there's some bodies left for board control, but I'm not sure he can get away from that shooting enough.
Yes, and he's obviously decided to screw you, Rob. I'm not listening to that. I'm going straight towards the shooting.
Let's just charge everything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not I don't know. Yeah. I was just trying to think it through because he doesn't have the output to deal with those Storm Fiends, which means anything he puts in this range, as we've just seen, gets deleted. We just saw something go through 45 wounds.
Yeah, I think 45 wounds with what's currently on the table.
Just went through with a 4-up save, and those Dryads currently have a 4-up save, but there's not 45 wounds there, so they just burn through things.
Yeah.
Pretty devastating. Yeah. Coots says I was going to run 6 Storm Fiends, but damn, 9 is tasty. Is people salivating over the 9 Storm Fiends? It's a list, right?
Yeah, and it's interesting, isn't it? Because as they came forward, kind of turn 1, and we were unsure about, committing 780 points of your army.
Well, we were wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess the good kind of recast of the bridge helped kind of set this whole system up, but yeah, there's not many options. So you're seeing the tree revs come at the back, going for the engineer. Now that's got to be the key part, and Laurie's list doesn't really have a lot of ranged threat, which is why there are 3 engineers. We talked about this at the top of the game. Yep.
3 engineers being able to take out, with more warp power. Only one of them obviously has got the Vigor Dust Injector, but you take out any one of them, there's still 2 more to do the job.
Yep.
So he really has actually put 300 points more into that Storm Fiend unit in redundancy. Now they do their own job as well, they're spellcasters and they're decent, but realistically, he spent 1,000 points on being able to do that damage.
Yeah, but realistically, we've seen that 1,000 points kind of work in his favour. I mean, they've taken a lot of Kurnoth Hunters off the board, both in combat and through shooting.
Yes, absolutely. And I don't know what. I'm struggling. I'm hopeful, but struggling in this situation.
Hey, I put my eggs in this basket, and I'm struggling too. So I guess to some degree, what he's got to hope for is that he can kind of get some control. But I mean, the fact that everything's walking towards.
Well, you can clear out the acolytes.
Yeah.
And I think, as C Black says in the chat, like the acolytes are actually the real output. Realistically, here they do the work. No, not the real output. Points for points, they actually do a lot of damage. Yeah. So maybe you can clear them away. But the Stormfiends are just going to blitz the whole thing. Is Laurie just going to run them in?
I guess so. Is that one Kurnoth Hunter? He is not happy.
So have you ever heard the phrase tilted?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what could have happened? He could have tilted. He could have just decided that, and it is a pretty devastating blow. Losing those 9 hunters in a turn.
Yep.
Devastating. So he could have just decided, you know what, this is about as far as it's going to go. We'll just got to make sure that the points are updated on the overlay as well, please, John. I'll get that sorted. Sorry, we're doing a new overlay thing now, so we're learning as we're going, ladies and gentlemen. We'll get there at some point. Do you reckon? We'll ever get there?
I think so.
I disagree. Never.
So you never think you're going to get there?
No. Into the charge phase, the Dryads have gone into the acolytes. Pretty good.
That's
happy with that.
I think that's kind of some brave Dryads, right?
You think that's brave Dryads?
Yeah.
Oh, no, the Acolytes will fall apart. Dryads are pretty good in combat. Dryads will do the work,
I mean, they
feel.
sing, right? So they'll be singing at them.
Huh?
They do that. They can sing at something.
Yeah, they can enrapture a unit and give themselves
I mean,
+1 to hit.
I haven't seen Laurie singing, but I guess.
Would you think
I guess the Dryads can.
Acolytes would be particularly enraptured by song?
Probably not.
No?
I don't feel like they care. I don't feel like Skaven would care as a whole. There's no money in song in the
That's
Skaven
true.
economy.
But what would they? What song would enrapture them? Probably Gold Digger by Kanye.
Maybe that would be a good choice. Or something about soybeans to go with our current narrative.
Yeah, that would work. Yeah. Some people in the chat saying they're going to get back into Age of Sigmar. You certainly should. It is genuinely fun. I mean, it is silly. It's a bit like that Monty Python sketch where they talk about Camelot. They're like, it is a silly place, but we do like it. So you guys should stick with us and have fun.
I still think for me, like, one of the biggest things about Sigmar is the scene that comes with it as well.
Huh?
The scene that comes with Age of Sigmar, the kind of the community. So, you know, we're watching two kind of high level players play each other, but they're also kind of friends from a community.
Yeah.
And it's almost like an ongoing battle between two players. And again, a second combat against two armies.
Yeah, I'm very interested to actually find out what their stats are with each other, because they've played each other several times, both Ben and Laurie. So there's no love lost because there's loads of love in the room. Loads of love in the room. So the Acolytes will have scored the objective here, which would have given him the points. So
we're gonna just kind of see if our overlay is going to work for us, and we're learning.
there
Look
you
at
go.
that.
Working.
Rob was wrong.
But the camera's not. So lesson learned there. Thank you to everyone who helped us get the cameras. Very nice here.
There we go. So we've got combat phase happening, and I think some Acolytes are getting hit in the face, I guess.
Yes, they are getting punched. Should we go have a look at Ben's army just because it's really nice? And realistically, we're just filling time. I won't lie to you, ladies and gentlemen. If you guys, it's really hard to just say, like, look at that, it looks really nice, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Laurie's army's there too.
Are we just scrolling away from Laurie's army? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah.
I mean, we could just
But
scribble.
look how many Acolytes died to the Dryads.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
They just fall apart.
So 8 Acolytes have died to them.
Yeah, they have. And you know they're quite expensive points per model there, but that single sword hunter I don't think made the charge.
No, probably not.
So no, he's just stood there
but
staring at, like, where you
Just
kill.
just
Just one guy on his own. He's like, "You killed all my mates."
I reckon maybe glowering. Glowering would be a good word.
I think he's screaming.
Okay.
Yeah, this is
So
like
angry tree.
this is Jon Snow, like just after they've killed his brother. Yeah, he's just like, screw. Oh,
Oh,
no.
there's some nicely painted dead ones though.
Yeah,
too,
there you go.
so there we
Sorry,
go.
guys. I'll get this better. He's just like, screw you. I'm not going. Oh, God, I'm never going to get this right.
We're getting there.
One more bit.
Oh,
There we go. There you go.
Okay, so they're about to roll the Star Strikes for 10-3.
So talking about, what, priority roll? Oh, no, Star Strikes.
Star Strikes first.
Okay, so as Firebomb needs to say in the chat, Laurie beat Savage just 2 weeks ago with the same list at Bloodshed one day. And don't forget, the Honest Wargamer will be covering the Bloodshed in the Shires event in a couple of weeks, so keep your eyes out for that. And next week we'll be at Facehammer GT, also covering that event too. Just everywhere. We're everywhere.
Okay, so we've got some objectives.
Okay, so the objectives are down. We might be into the priority roll in a moment. Here we go. Don't forget that Ben is red and Laurie is blue.
Here comes our priority roll.
Here we go.
I
Ben's
think
rolled
Laurie
a 4.
missed the ball. Oh, he missed the ball with a 3.
Oh.
And is now. He's looking cheerful.
He's very fine about it. He's absolutely chill. He's not stressed.
Maybe next time you have Laurie on, we should just follow him round, get like a GoPro on his face.
I mean, he's an animated player. Yeah, but he's also a babe, so don't worry about that. Yes, that is not great news, realistically, because I think what's going to happen is Ben is going to take the turn, and then I think he might delete the whole of...
Yeah, so Ben's taking the turn.
Yeah,
So-
he has taken the turn.
Yeah.
Okay, so probably what he's going to do is he's going to take this unit of 5 models
Yeah.
Yeah. And just delete all of these things.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even sure he needs all 5 models. He could be nice and use 3 and still delete the whole table, I think.
Yeah, like this is going to be such a walloping that if I was Laurie, I probably would actually go and get a paper round tomorrow just so that I'd like just to restart my life.
Yeah.
I'd just be like, do you know what? I want a new paper round, restart everything, and just enjoy.
So I believe we've also got some more war power on them again. Just because he's going to need that.
So again, just so everyone remembers, that's rerolls to hit and rerolls to wound. So can we go back to the gangster Kernoth Hunter because he
I think he'll be dead in a minute. Oh, he's gone
in the hero phase. Oh.
He just got cast off.
Oh no! So he took some mortal wounds from one of the spells. So there we go.
Well, there goes our hero. I mean, Laurie, so annoyed. The wound counters are still on the table. He doesn't care.
I only just managed to get the camera on him before he got taken away. I was really sad. I was like, come on, little Colonel.
We didn't get to sing or do a little memorial.
Boy Phil, Rob, any chance you get Baz in his meta butting list on stream? I'm sure that would not be something. It was absolutely possible. I see where the Rage Sigma production budget went. Smorgan, hello. And as Charles Black says, had that priority roll gone the other way, that 9-inch that it wouldn't have been a charge, 9-inch charge, 3-inch charge from 9 Kernoth Hunters with Scythes would have done for the Storm Fiends. So really, this has come down to that pivotal priority roll in turn 2, but both players played for it, right?
Yeah, and I think lots of games and lots of the best games come down to that priority roll moment, and seeing a 6 followed by a 6 is big, right? That's the exciting part of the game. I think lots of the time we forget that a good chunk of Sigmar is a dice game, and there's lots of strategy and thoughts go into it, but rolling 9 1s doesn't really help
at all. Try and do that less. So we're going to go over now to a man who actually has never rolled a 1 in his life. Yet he's played over 4,000 Age of Sigmar games and still doesn't like Star Strike. Mr. Donald Taylor, everyone.
Star Strike's a fun game, just not for coverage. So do it when Honest Wargamer's not there, just for clarity. So what do we have updates? Jack and Steve have won, as discussed. Jack's going to come on later. I don't know if Rob's cameras are good enough to capture Jack's height and my height, so you may just see Jack with a microphone. I don't know how it's going to go. Jack is a tall, beautiful, and chiseled man. Okay, so what else do we have? We have Leo with his Iron Jaws versus Colin Cochran, my dad. Leo won the double turn into 3, teleported behind Colin because Colin let him teleport instead of screening him off. He's not a particularly good player, but he's used to using crutches, which is why he won Facehammer last year. Leo looks like he's going to be able to just tag Colin in, probably for at least turn 3 and 4. But as we know with Star Strike, it's all about turn 5, where the objective is worth 15 points. And let's not forget about that. Colin is still using Fire Slayers. They are a crutch, and he's kind of used to it. Then we have Ming with his Nurgle versus Ming with his Trogos versus Nurgle. Plague Monks managed to kill Trogos because Plague Monks are bent, but they don't have all the buffs that the Skaven normally have, so it's not too bad. I do think, though, Maxime's going to win that with the Nurgle. Then we have Adam, the other AOS champion in the house today, Kunis, who won the doubles yesterday with me, with a beautiful mixed order army. Highly recommend checking out the Honest Wargamers Twitter, Instagram to check out that army. He's currently beating some Beasts of Chaos. The guy, unfortunately, took some gore, took some ungore. All of that's come off. Adam still has all his monsters left. It's really hard to see anything happen other than Adam continue to pull that out of the, to continue to win. Then the biggest update, the change host updates. Daniil is in turn 2, so that's Daniil with his change host actually got up to turn 2, which I think we were all expecting him just to play turn 1, not have any objectives on the board in Star Strike, but Daniil is on turn 2, so that is fantastic. He may even get up to the end of turn 2. We don't know. There's only an hour and 15 minutes left. It's probably not enough. But who knows? He also doesn't know I'm saying this, so as long as nobody mentions it, it's probably fine, right? Just as context, though, Darren's on his turn 3. He's also got Change Host. Hasn't played it as much as Daniil, but, whatever. Then Mark Curtis, the beautiful, beautiful specimen that is Mark Curtis, brother of Steve, unfortunately has left his gits behind, which is slightly sad. He is, however, showing that Sylvaneth can beat Skaven. So unlike Laurie, who's apparently the best Sylvaneth player in the UK, unless you ignore Richie, can't beat Skaven, Mark can. So there you go. So he's smashing that apart. Looks very, very comfortable. Just chilling out, regretting not bringing gits, or possibly not regretting not bringing gits. Who really knows? And then it's also worth mentioning the other Change Host player, Craig Namvar, who makes blue horrors just blue. If I was Mark Wilson, I'd probably remove them because 3 color minimum. And if they're just sprayed blue, that's not 3 colors. That's not 3 colors. That's blue, right? It's blue horrors. Doesn't mean they have to stay blue. Like, no one's that narrative a player that they can't, like, add some washes, some dry brushes, a bit of color in the eyes. I mean, pink horrors aren't just pink, right? Anyway, like, whatever, I give up. Darren's got a purple sun that's green, right? Like, no one's asking him to take it off the board. Like, I don't understand it. Like, how is Mark... He's right in front of Mark as well, right? So right in front of the TO, no one's saying anything. I've taken a photo. Check the Honest Wargamer Twitter. Like, you tell me if you think that's acceptable. If this was Facehammer, that would be removed off the table. You know, I don't want to say... Maybe Russ and the Facehammer crew have the pack right. You know, like, allowing people just to have spray blue. I give up. Anyway, thank you very much, Rob. I'll hand back to you.
There we go. That man in no way is bothered about painting standards at tournaments.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think he had any opinion.
He is a wonderful man. Big love to this guy, Donald Taylor. So don't forget to follow him. You can ask him questions on the Honest Wargamer Twitter. There we go. That's the right word. And also the Instagram. He's taking photos. Are veggie stuff. Yeah. So if you've just joined us, welcome back. We're just putting our food order in for lunch. We've got Benjamin Sava and Laurie Huggett-Wiggett playing a game of Star Strike. We're in Battle Round 3. Yeah. We're at the beginning. Ben won the priority. He's actually won both priorities.
And took first turn.
And took the first turn. So it's been you go, I go so far. But unfortunately, it was that Battle Round 2 priority, which ended up with, there were 9 Storm Fiends. They bridged to about here. Then what we saw was 6 Kurnoth Hunters move forward, charge. Then they killed 5 of the 9 Storm Fiends. Yep. However, those 4 then went on to delete 9 Kurnoth Hunters on their own, while also having fought off 3 Kurnoth Hunters in combat, so they're responsible for 12 in a turn.
Yeah, it's not been pretty.
It has been awful.
If you're a tree.
Yeah.
If you're a 4-colour tree, it's not been a good day.
If you're a 4-colour tree, it's been tough. But it's also been an impressive outing for those Storm Fiends, and nice seeing them on the tabletop to see what they can do. I mean, it's a horribly offensive unit, but I think that some of the people in the chat have been making a good point. In some scenarios, it can struggle a little bit because it doesn't have great board control.
Yeah, and I think, you know, those priorities went in his favour, and I don't know, the wound churn out on that last round of shooting was just phenomenal.
Yes. Yeah, it was just unreal. But, I mean, the reliability is massive because the +1 to hit on the unit, and then the rerolls to hit, rerolls to wound, then +1 damage on everything. It's just...
Yeah.
Okay. It's just outrageous. I mean, this game is effectively over, but I'm sure the guys are working it through now. However, I think we're going to get an interview. We're going to keep interviewing because, as someone said, there is a bevy of high-class players here, and also Jack Armstrong's playing. So
that he is.
So Mr. Donald Taylor is going to do.
We apologise for any height differences.
No, that's fine. That's good.
We can't help anything.
We can't help
people's natural sizes.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, good. So with Donald Taylor interviewing Mr. Jack Armstrong.
Hey guys, so as mentioned, we're struggling with the camera height difference, and there's no chairs for me to stand on. Welcome, Jack.
Hey, Dono. No.
So we only have one. So how was your game versus? It was versus 4 Bloodthirsters, right?
Yeah, it was the Exalted Keeper and 3 others against my Skaven, which was quite lucky because it wasn't that hard a matchup and it was the first time playing them, so I had to kind of work out what they did. But thankfully, they shoot off Bloodthirsters quite well, it seems.
And so is this your first singles since you've become world champion or European champion, depending on the definition of the event?
It's world for the record, and yes, no, it is. So it's my first time really opening the GHB because we all kind of stayed well away from it before the ETC. So I'm learning the scenarios as we go with a new army, which I bought about 14 days ago. So yeah, all good fun.
Do you feel like you've betrayed Order because you sold all your armies because you were going to stick with Order, and then you randomly bought some Storm Fiends? So how do you feel about that?
I have utterly betrayed my Order roots, and I did state I sold everything off, and I was only going to play Order, and I was umming and ahhing between Deepkin, KO, Stormcast, and the problem is they can all have bad matchups, and there are certain things they can't lose to, and the only list I could write that I thought had a potential to beat everything was 9 Storm Fiends with Plague Monks and Lightning Vortex, so I bought it, and I feel really guilty, and I will sell it, I will get rid of it before my Order armies find out, but hopefully I can sneak in a few games with it.
So which armies are you worried about then? So there's obviously Ben, who you copied the list off. But if you win this event, then it becomes your list.
That's how it works.
Exactly. And any other lists you're worried about?
Steve's here with what's it called, a Blister Skin list, which looks pretty good, pretty fast. Though the one-drop Iron Jaws list aren't bad. I haven't played against the new Sylvaneth. And then the Hearthguard Berserkers and stuff like that, they're always tough. And Sinesh, I think in theory it does well against, but it's quite tough. There's quite a few one-drop change hosts, which I know Darren is using on a different table, which, again, I haven't worked it all out, but they can stop the magic, and it's all about board control. So the problem is, as I haven't used it, there's lots of unknowns. I think it's got the tools to deal with it all. It's just whether I know how to use it well enough to do it.
So I've got 2 other questions for you, Jack. Question number 1 is, I've seen photos of you and your kids, and you didn't look as tall with the kids. So are they also giants?
Yeah, absolutely. The 5-year-old's already 6 foot, so yeah, they're pretty massive.
And then the final thing about painting standards in this competition, if you see someone who has a summoned army that's just sprayed one colour, do you think that's acceptable?
No.
Even if he drives you to tournaments with a Tesla?
Oh, then of course it should be allowed. I painted all his end of spells, so I'm not going to let him get away with the rest of it.
There you go. So Craig should remove his blue horrors. Cheers, Rob.
Thank you very much to both of those 2 wonderful gentlemen. How tall is that Jack fella?
Tell me about it. I mean, Donald just dwarfed there.
Yeah.
And they're not even a usable army really anymore.
No. If you guys just joined us, welcome back to the show. We're seeing Ben there on the tabletop playing against Laurie. James, what happened in this is commentary, Rob and James. What happened in those first 3 turns?
So I think as those kind of first 3 turns went through, we saw Sava kind of play aggressively. He bridged those Storm Fiends forwards and kind of forced, I guess, Laurie's hand. So the concept was that he took some shots. He even kind of took some hits to his own by having to go behind that overgrown terrain. From there, he put some shots out and did kind of some damage. And I think we saw the beginnings of his setup. What we kind of talked about at that time was what we thought Ben was doing. And if we thought it was wise, I guess, really. And maybe, especially me, I would say internally, I thought kind of committing 780 points of your list across a table that could get very easily charged to take out two branch wraiths probably wasn't the best idea, but actually been proved very wrong because what it basically did was allowed him some board control. I mean, losing, what do we lose? 4 Storm Fiends from that charge back it just wasn't enough. The damage output of the 5 remaining Storm Fiends at that point back into those 9 Kernoth Hunters was huge, and I think from there we've probably seen the game go in Ben's favour.
We have
roll after roll,
after roll. Yeah.
And you're going to be looking at the table now. Anyone in the Twitch channel, and you're going to see not many trees left.
No.
I mean, there's a very nice kind of piece of terrain here that's got some trees on, but they don't fight. So I think it might be the end of Laurie.
Yeah, and so what's really interesting, the reason we actually asked Ben to come on the stream for the first game, so that's kind of one of our new processes, is picking our first game ahead of time, is we knew that Ben has got like effectively a meta busting list, so it's shooting, and we've already seen this list. I'm not saying it's new because it's definitely not. I've seen the Irish lads as a run it as stated, and John Dale running it before. I've seen a bunch of Stormfiend lists, but not a bunch, a small amount. And as stated, they can struggle on scenarios, but with this kind of wealth of flesh-eater courts and slash armies that you're going to see out there, that are really solid in combat, these shooting units are just devastating, realistically, and they're going to do the work, I think. So it's been interesting them having on the stream and seeing what they've done. Is that one Colonel Thumb to charge?
That is one Arch Revenant who has used his little bug wings to fly over the acolytes into a warlock, I think, that's back there.
Okay.
I think this might just be for moral victory now. because
we saw all the dryads die, right?
He's seen his entire family and friends, and probably his children die. So he might as well go for it, right?
Yeah. I mean, if your whole Wargrove is dead, is there any real reason in living at this stage? Overall,
I'd just like to say, so I've had some updates, and a whole CP has gone into this Arch Revenant to have an extra attack. So the game still could go in Laurie's favour, I reckon. I mean, I can't even stay serious.
Come on, it's one Arch Revenant versus the world. Can he do it? The answer is
maybe he'll take a warlock. Maybe that warlock said something about his tree family.
He's like, I'm gonna get him. He's gonna get dead. Where is he? Let's go find this little fella on the tabletop. So we are, if you guys are watching, we are a person down today. So that's why we're a little bit not quite as snappy with the fancy cameras that you guys got for us. So we apologise about that. But I think we're doing an okay job. So don't worry about it. And if you want to,
so the warlock's still alive at this moment. So the game actually now is not Ben versus Laurie. It's can Rob find this fight before the fight is over?
I'm just not going to. I'm just going to focus on Mr. Ben Sava there.
Okay.
What a good-looking fella.
What a lovely chap. But again,
still look. He's brought his book with him just to double check
doesn't know the rules.
He doesn't know what his Arch Warlock does in combat. He's never had him in combat before.
This has never happened.
He's either been alive or dead. He's been like, what does he do?
So he's got a book out. He looks very serious about that book. He's not on camera anymore. No one can see him.
Sorry.
He looks very serious about the book. I'm not sure what he's debating because I'm guessing this character only has one attack.
I'm going to go find the Arch Rev fight. Don't worry, you guys. Who's going to win, the Arch Rev or the Warlock? It's kind of, we've gone into the smaller version of this war now.
I think
the grander war is over. I found it.
I think he's got 2 wounds left. That Warlock.
2 wounds, not enough wounds. It's going to be fine.
Okay, so he's supercharging one of the attacks.
Yes, there we go. And look how great that Arch Warlock looks as well, by the way. Looks great.
Yeah, and so and I guess that's a nice thing, right? So the cameras show the quality of what's on the table.
Yeah, the terrain, Crazy Horse, the terrain is not great, let's be honest. However, not compared to Nashcon where we were last time.
No, I mean, this spell that someone's brought with them is very nice.
Yeah,
homemade
Ben
bridge.
painted that.
I mean, that probably makes this terrain look worse, but we'll just ignore this terrain. Look, I can just do this over it for you all.
Listen,
so just
everyone,
pretend that's not there.
We are at the LGT, so the fact that there's even terrain is like a huge bonus, realistically.
So I can't really do this very well, but this bug is now dead.
Oh.
So he has sacrificed the bug. I'm not even sure. Oh, there's a priority roll.
Oh, here we go.
It's happened so fast.
And it was won again by Skaven.
And I think...
And then Laurie has just gone, screw you. Screw you, I hate you forever.
We've just called the game.
Yeah, there we go. Which is fine.
Oh, he's storming off in a huff.
No, he's not.
Oh, my God.
No.
He's flipped the table.
They were just working out points. So there we go. You can... so 3 priorities in a row there. Oh, no, it's the wrong one. That's not what I wanted.
Oh, there we are.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Honest Wargamer. So, shooting. How do you feel about shooting in Age of Sigmar?
I think it has its moments, and it's come and it's gone and it's come and it's gone. And I think it's really back.
Yeah, it's really showing how solid it is. a lot of what we've talked about in competitive Age of Sigmar recently has been how do you deal with Slaanesh, Fresh Courts, and even Skaven to a degree. But a lot of the Skaven that we've seen or have seen talked about has been a lot to do with Plague Monks, combat, Death Frenzy, so the kind of activation wars, and it seems like a huge element of the game. However, Skaven can just eschew that part of it if they want to, and have this very polarized shooting army. It's like we've seen with the Longstrike Stormcast list, which is fair enough. But I mean, it's been around for a while, but it hasn't won any tournaments.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because I think the Stormcast, having played Stormcast for quite a while, doesn't always have as much legs as some of the other books now. And there was some stuff that was very they're very middle of the road.
Yes.
And safe. And they're very easy to play, which is probably why I played them for quite a while, because you just keep rolling 3s and 3s, and you don't have to do any thought process. But there's kind of no way of kind of buffing that or making that stronger to the degree that we've just kind of seen with those Storm Fiends there, I wouldn't say.
Yeah, really impressive, realistically. But it has to be the rerolls to hit and rerolls to wound on that unit.
Yeah.
So if you also... The other issue is Ben has a 1-drop army.
Yeah.
1 drop. So he's got... And what's really clever is the inclusion of the Soul Screen Bridge. So his ability to just jump into the midfield at any point when he wants to. So it's just quite...
So just quickly, I'm going to jump on that while Rob's distracted. So Orc Boy Phil, if you are in the Twitch chat, which you are because you've commented, in the top right-hand corner there should be a little BIP button. If you click that now, you will see the list of the armies that are playing.
Absolutely.
Or have just played, I guess, is a realistic one. So that's a new Honest Wargamer edition.
Yeah, so if you do that, so you'll just be able to see the list. So you can watch live while also seeing the list at the same time. Pretty fancy. It'd be cool to get the players on to see how they felt about the game and have a chat. But 1 or 2 of them may not want to, but we'll find out from them in a small moment. Even just get them talking together.
Yeah,
just some smack talk against them.
It's just like boxing.
Are we giving them new nicknames? The Arch Revenant versus the Arch Warlock.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was an interesting end fight, and I think that there was some honour left on the table.
There was some honour. I like that the bug went in.
And the bug took a hit, but basically didn't help the game.
Did not do the work that he needed to do.
No. Maybe if he had more colour on him, he'd have been more distracting and done a better job.
Thank you for...
It's all right. Laurie's not far from the table. He doesn't enjoy the ribbing after losing a game.
Or losing. However, it does mean that he can drink now for the weekend, which is the best part of an Age of Sigmar event. Oh, he's driving. There is no positives to this. There's no silver lining. However, realistically, so the key part of that game was the priority roll going into turn 2.
Yeah.
Had Laurie won it, he wins a game. Had Ben won it, he wins a game. So it's literally a 1 dice roll result. And so, as much as he must feel robbed, you can't do anything other than that, right?
Yeah, and I think there's that point, isn't there? And that priority roll mattered.
But
2 6s were what happened, and that's the game, right?
Yeah. So we'll try and now get an interview with the guys and see how any of them feel about it, about the game.
Yeah. And it'll be good to kind of get the impressions from the table and how they felt that went, and if those dice rolls mattered to them as much as they mattered to us and everyone watching.
I mean, it's the big priority roll. That's all it was. And sometimes games are that way. But it's been interesting watching shooting in the environment that it's currently in.
Yeah.
And I'd be interested to see how this game's going forward. We also know that a couple of other Skaven shooting lists have already done well as well.
Yeah. Yeah,
you can follow those results on Tabletop TO. We'll put a link in the chat at some point for you guys, so you guys will be able to experience that. But we're gonna now go and have a talk with the players. Our man in the field, Mr. Donald Taylor. Is just setting them up. Yeah, they look great.
It's better. We're at a good
It's
height.
arguably 3 of the best looking men in all of Warhammer right now. There we go.
Hey guys, so remember how tall Jack was? These guys are not as tall as Jack. So yes, welcome back to the roving reporter coverage, where it's all about me, Donald Taylor. We have 2 people who you've just seen on stream, Mr. Ben Sava and Laurie Benjamin. Okay, so we know who I'm going to focus on. The person who doesn't interrupt me when I talk. Hey, Laurie, how was your game?
Is your surname Taylor?
It is indeed.
That's not very Irish, is it?
It's Scottish.
It's a bit much.
Quick anecdote on Team Scotland. They said they didn't get any captain applications, but I made an application and they never responded. So I think they're all a bunch of knob-ends. Laurie, how was your game?
So it was good fun as per usual when I play Sava. It was a bit annoying that Sava's army's a 40k army, and anyone who's played 40k knows if you get first turn, you can obliterate half your army, and then that just carries on going. And because I didn't win a priority, that's kind of what happened. I think Sava played it well, but it just would have been nice to win one. Even the second, I think if I won the first priority, I win the game. If I win the second priority, it makes a game of it. I think I'm probably still 60-40 down to lose. But it would have been nice to make a game on it. But just losing priorities 1, 2, 3 means I can set myself up to claw myself back in each time, but can't do anything about it. I mean, yeah. Hindsight's 2020, isn't it?
What would you have done differently?
I'd say hindsight's 2020. I did like what I was gambling on.
I think you made the 9-inch charge roll. That would have been really good.
So roll better is the advice from Benjamin.
Yeah, it's good. I think one of the good things about running your mouth a lot like I do is when things deliver like this, and it's on stream, because I've hyped this army up so much, haven't I? And it's good to see that it actually goes off. I was looking.
And just the army, you mean the one that you've net listed from Jack Armstrong?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, always. Or get all my best ideas from Jack. But yeah, it's good. I got really lucky. I cast more and more warp power every turn. That is such a vital spell. That if it doesn't go off, then the damage output of those Storm Fiends is reduced drastically. I rolled pretty hot with the dice in the first, in every turn actually. They rolled really well, but they are consistent. They do have sparks on them. They've got more and more warp power on them. There's Deranged Inventor in the list in case you don't get more and more warp off. You're still re-rolling hits, so they are super consistent. It's a big lot of points to invest in one unit, but they do tend to be quite reliable because of the re-rolls, because of the extra damage. So they did what they were supposed to do. I gambled on taking the first turn because me and Laurie played these exact same armies against each other in a books one day last weekend or 2 weekends ago, and what lost me that game was him setting up a command center where he had the Branch Witch with Throne of Vines that stacks, so he's on +6 to cast by turn 3, which means he's always getting the Dryads off, and then Dreadwood command ability, sending them out, putting them on objectives, and I just don't have the bodies to cover the board. So I knew in this game that I wanted to kill the Branch Witches as early as possible, and I think I played my last deployment was really tactical, I think, and Laurie had set up his Kurnoths and his 20 Spites over on this side, and I set up so that I could run with an engineer, teleport a warp lightning cannon over there and shoot off his Branch Witch there. I knew the Storm Fiends, if they get bridge off, could get that one there, but then he decided not to go over there, which meant killing 2 Branch Witches with 9 Wraiths, with 9 shots from the wind launchers, and they were -2 to hit, so I was from 5s to hit, and yeah, got lucky. So.
And why were they not hitting line of sight, out of line of sight?
Wind launchers.
Ignore line of sight.
Oh, that sucks for Laurie. Okay, so the few things that happened differently. You have new dice.
I got new dice. Yeah, they rolled really badly against him, so I bought him some specific Warpstone green-looking dice. Got them from Loaded Dice.
So buy new dice that roll well is Ben's first piece of advice. Play someone and then change your tactics, which is learning, so that's quite good. Roll better and then capitalize whenever Laurie becomes sulky, because then he plays worse. Isn't that right, Laurie?
I really don't think I did. What you do is, has anyone got a glass of, is it salt water you need to test whether the dice are broken or not? Yeah. Just saying. Either that or there's some involving the devil or something like that. I'm telling you so.
Just for the Northern Irish boys, this is Laurie from the English team at the Six Nations complaining about Ben dice.
I mean, if that's how we win, because you didn't win this year or last year. But what? Oh no, not the year either. Before that as well. Oh,
and then just if you listen to Facehammer, they comment that they got really lucky on some dice rolls at the ETC. Anyway, this isn't about England. Were you at the ETC?
I can bring my shirt tomorrow if you want to see it, Donald.
I'd much rather not. I'm not touching that. No, I'm not touching anything related to Ben Sava. Benjamin, when did you become Benjamin, Ben?
I've always been Benjamin. That's my name.
Okay. Okay. So anyway, so we listened to some advice. What would you have done differently other than just replayed the game from 2 weeks ago?
I mean, so it's a tough one because you can have a plan and think the plan is a good plan, and if it goes off, it seems brilliant. But then you do it and it doesn't come off, and you could think differently. Like I could have kept my 9 scythes where they were, even moved them further to the right, and just gone. I'm going to chuck the swords in, and then next turn I'll chuck the scythes in if I win the double. Or even if I don't win the double, I've still got 9 scythes there. And maybe that's a better thing to do. But then, what could happen in that situation is he obliterates my swords, because my swords, hypothetically, if I did that, my swords would have failed their 9-inch rerollable charge, because I rolled with the scythes first of all. So if we transfer that across the swords fail that charge, they sit there, they get obliterated, and they also, because the rattling guns do that by themselves basically, they also therefore can use as wind launchers to kill my arc rev, kill a lot of my dryads, and do a massive damage there. And then I haven't got the arc rev, and the Colonel Fighters can't teleport anyway. So it's that one where like I could look back and think, well, I could have done this, could have done that. I actually think I'd do the same thing again.
Did you use any of Ben's dice for the charges?
I did not.
Well, there's something you could do differently.
That is something I could do differently. Yeah.
There's Donald trying to provide solutions to Laurie's problems.
First time for everything, isn't there? First time for everything.
Okay, cheers, guys. I think we're going to wrap up shortly. I'll hand you back to Rob.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Gorgeous men, and an exciting game. I enjoyed watching that and enjoyed listening to those guys talk.
Yeah, and it was good. It's good. It's always good to kind of get player feedback, isn't it? Because we're watching the game and we're talking about the game, but they're living it, I guess.
Yeah, they are. They're living it live. All right, so thank you for joining us for this first game as we heat up. Obviously, one of those two players could potentially win the event. Mr. Darren Watson, the reigning champion, is currently actually playing on the table to the side of us. So we'll see how that game goes. You guys have been wonderful. Thank you very much. Don't forget to follow our live infield reporter, Mr. Donald Taylor, on both Twitter and Instagram on The Honest Wargamer.
I think the Twitter has a particularly good tweet.
The Twitter's got a flavour to it, which I'm really enjoying, the takeover. So please do follow it and enjoy yourself there. You guys have been wonderful. We're going to go now for a break. Don't forget to join us. As soon as this is off, you can see the schedule. You can also see the schedule on any of the social feeds. We'll see you guys soon.
And we're back at 1.
Thank you. Goodbye.